information. So I only say that because I get a lot of people that will say, I do not mouth breathe at nighttime. And I'm like, how do you know? So, and then when we start implementing maybe mouth tape, for example, they will come back to me and say, the quality of my sleep is so much better. I had no idea that I was mouth breathing. So we have to look at the nose. We have to look at the development of the jaw, the face. So the upper and the lower jaw, when people have more of a narrower facial structure, what happens is the airway is going to be more on the narrower side, and then you're blocking your tongue from having space within the mouth. So that means your tongue is going to be more prone to fall back into the airway at nighttime. So you have to look within the mouth. Of course, tonsils, adenoids, especially in children, that can block the airway as well. And obesity can put pressure on the airway, and poor posture as well. So looking at the upper airway, there are 4 points within the airway that can cause problems. So this is looking at the side profile. So there's 2 areas within the nose, and there's 2 areas within the throat. So you can see that the tongue, behind the tongue is the airway. So we have to evaluate the tongue. Does it have space in the mouth? And where is it sitting? So we all learned today that the tongue should always be suctioned at the roof of the mouth. So I do a nasal valve exam. This is super easy. You can do it on yourself anytime. But what I'm looking for is to see if the cartilage, the lateral wall of your nose, when you breathe, if it collapses inwards. So I have patients close their mouth and then just take a deep, hard breath in. And I'm looking to see if there is a collapse of that wall, the lateral wall. And not a lot of people, it will be this dramatic. So what I suggest people do is try some mute nasal dilators. Put it in your nose, and if you can feel more air going through your nose, then you have some form of a nasal valve collapse. And you should be wearing the cones at nighttime. So it's a little
I have a quick question, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Is that would that be a permanent fix after so long, or would it be just, you have to use it every night for
Yes, there's a procedure out there that ENTs are doing to kind of help strengthen that lateral wall, but it only works maybe in 50% of people, and they can relapse back after a year. So, but the nasal valve can get worse over time. So when someone has allergies and they're constantly, sniffling or blowing their nose, you can actually weaken the lateral wall even more. So it can get worse. So this is really hard to see, but this is a scan that I take in my practice. So we identified the tip of the nose. Now we're looking in the deeper portion of the nose. And so what I'm looking for is how much black space does someone have in their nasal cavity. So black space is good space. It's the way that air travels through the tunnels. So if someone like this, they have a deviated septum. I don't know if you guys can see the difference with the black spacing. After surgery, it's just so much more black space. And I work with some really great ENTs. And sometimes this is all a patient needs, is just to open up the nasal valve, and they don't have any other problems in their throats. And so this can be, life-changing for a lot of people. All right, so I really hope you guys can see this, because this is looking at the side profile of an airway. And so this is the throat. So you can see the difference in the size of, that's the throat right there. This patient, if you imagine, it's the tiniest airway. So when he goes to sleep at night and his tongue falls back even just a little bit, he's blocked. And so this patient came to me because he had jaw problems. So when someone's clenching and grinding at nighttime, I have to wonder, is it because they're